Today I'm going to give my own view on all the comments that people made, and also for you to know what I think about traditional marriage and white wedding or church wedding, and also what I think about pregnancy tests before marriage, which is being conducted by churches nowadays. Today I got a notification from Scripper News, and in that news I got this headline, very interesting, and I'll read it out for you guys. The notification from the news reads, the certificate of virginity. Welcome to the African tribe where virgin girls are given certificates. I got curious. I want to know because the story seems to relate to what I'm talking about, of pregnancy tests before marriage. This time around, we're talking about giving certificate for virginity. This is actually my first time of hearing something like that. I discovered that this thing has to do with the people of Zulu. If you don't know Zulu, at least you know about the popular novel called Shaka the Zulu. It's about the great king of Zulu. Zulu people are the Ngumi ethnic group in southern Africa. The Zulu people are the largest ethnic group and nation in South Africa, with an estimated population of 10 to 12 million people. This tribe, they have a very unique culture, testing the virginity of a girl child. From the video I watched, I noticed that there is no particular age limit or age bracket. However, the reason why I decided to bring this to our notice is because I find it interesting that it relates to what I'm talking about, testing the virginity of a female. So Timi thinks that it is sexist and intrusive, and I think that somehow it is, but somehow it is not. But I am for a greater portion that it is not. As long as it's something that you willingly submit yourself to, I don't think it is sexist. I don't think it's intrusive, because you have opinion of your own, either to go for it or not. And to buttress this point, watch this video.
It's early morning in the heart of Zululand in South Africa, and these girls are on their way to one of the most important but controversial festivals of the year. Dressed in their traditional Zulu costumes, they'll take part in an ancient custom, once thought forgotten. They have arrived for a virginity test. I want everyone to see that I'm still a virgin, that I haven't had sex. A lot of girls aren't coming for the virginity test. They're saying bad things about us, that we're arrogant, as if we're better than them. Despite the criticisms, these girls want to prove their virginity to parents and friends, and more importantly, to prospective husbands. A virgin in these parts is highly sought after, and many girls are encouraged to take pride in their virginity. For many, it's a daunting experience. It's the first time they'll have an intimate examination, but the chance to be proved a virgin is a great relief. For every girl found with a hymen intact, the women celebrate. And once inspected, the girls have to pay around $1 for the certificate before they can finally begin partying. They also get a mark on their forehead to prove their virginity. I'm happy. Now everyone has to believe me. The tests can also detect diseases. It's good not to have sex until you're married. Even this 37-year-old wanted to prove that she was still a virgin. The girls shared the results, as there was their graduation day.
Other ones say this is old-fashioned. It's not a fashion of now, but that is wrong. But other one like it, especially the youth of girls and the youth of girl against, and other boys support it. Mm-hmm.
So you are happy?
Yes, I'm very happy about that.
With all the viruses that we have in South Africa, I think we should be proud of what you're doing, because it's not easy for us to get infected with all those viruses that we have, because we know how to look after ourselves and we can protect ourselves.
The king, when he started this tradition, he was concerned about his people dying. And he said, let's try and create an HIV/AIDS free generation.
And the natural rhythm of life is broken. Our young people are being devoured by HIV and AIDS. We live in a time when parents are cruelly robbed of spending their old age in the company of their children. We live in a time when babies are orphaned by this disease that does not care who you are.
The link to the video that you just watched will be given to you in the description box. Hello fam, it is indeed a privilege to have you grace my channel with your auricular audience. I am your host and your presenter, Amakobi, aka Twinkle Peggy, and this is Comments Banter with Twinkle Peggy. If you are a new subscriber, thank you so much for subscribing, and if you're a returning subscriber, I love you. Well, today I'm going to give my own opinion about the first and second episode on pregnancy test before wedding. If you are here to watch those videos, please watch them before you watch this one, because this one is about my opinion and you get to understand me better when I'm making references to the comments. If you have not watched them, so how are we going to understand the references I'm making? How? Just tell me. So please try and watch those videos before coming to this one. There's an Igbo adage that says, if you don't know where or when the rain starts beating you, you won't know where and when it will stop. Before I can plug into this issue, let us first of all take a look at this picture. It's actually a tweet by Tracy Zille. In that tweet, she said, "This is not a white wedding. It is a European traditional wedding for white people. This is our traditional wedding. The question to black people is, why do you spend so much money to be like whites? African wedding and European wedding, wearing white people's hair. Hashtag coconuts must fall." She has made it explicitly clear that this is what the European traditional wedding. When it comes to pregnancy before marriage, that is where that word solemnization comes in. And before I even dive into explaining to you what solemnization is, I want to use the case of Netherlands. There is this article I saw. The title of the article is "Marriage, the Institution of God. The Solemnization of Marriage," written by Meldad H. Slegers. The meaning of solemnization of marriage. When a marriage is solemnized, the union is officially sanctioned. It becomes legal or lawful after promises of faithfulness have been exchanged. Mark the word legal or lawful. In previous century, now they are trying to tell us how solemnization came to be. So please listen. In previous centuries, the church did indeed solemnize marriages. In the first centuries after Christ, the church was only marginally involved in marriages. Remember, in the first century, the church, that's in the first century after Christ, the church was only marginally involved in marriages. Someone pointed that out. I think that must be Essay. He pointed that out. This changed when the Church of Middle Ages assumed total control over wedding ceremonies. The church solemnized and blessed the marriage as a sacrament. The reformers, however, held that solemnization of marriage was a matter for the civil government. But since the authorities at that time often did not want to be burdened with a wedding registry, the church in the 16th century and later continued to perform the marriage ceremonies. The term solemnization made its way into the marriage form at this point. After the French Revolution and the French occupation of the Netherlands, the authorities instituted a separation between church and state. Thus, the official (legal) civil marriage ceremony once more became a matter for the civil authorities in the Netherlands in 1809. After 1892, the Reformed churches in the Netherlands were firmly convinced that the marriage ceremony by the civic authorities was deficient or inadequate. The solemnization in the church became a necessary addition to the civil ceremony. For the completion of the ceremony, the authorities in the Netherlands act as neutral ground, while the church acts on the basis of the covenant of grace. The two phases of life as developed and propagated by Dr. Abraham Kuyper was the source for this conviction. The General Synod of Haarlem, 1972, had to deal with a proposal to abolish the solemnization of marriage and limit the wedding ceremony only to preaching the word and invoking the blessing. Synod, however, wanted to keep on using the term the vestiging and gave it the following connotation. The vestiging simply means confirmation or affirmation, and gave it the following connotation: to bind the marriage to the word of God. The idea that the religious ceremony is merely a supplement to the civil ceremony was hereby dismantled. In a secular society with a neutral government, there is much to be said for this kind of binding. The form for the solemnization of marriage is far more profound than the civil statutes regarding this issue. The main points of the form referring to solemnization of marriage: the notice of a proposed marriage on 2 consecutive Sundays, that is the banns, is followed by the form's introductory part. It ascertains that there are no lawful objections or impediment to the marriage so that the solemnization can take place. Mark that word, impediment. The following matters are considered. Marriage is an institution of God. God hates divorce. The purpose of marriage, the relationship in marriage, God's promise, the duties to each other, the marriage vows, the prayer of intercession. These are the things that happen when a marriage is being solemnized. I think the things the priest will actually do. Under marriage is an institution, which is number 1. The form refers back to creation for the origin of marriage. By creating the differences between men and women, God made the provision for marriage. It follows from this distinction that homosexual relations are against God's decree. These cannot and may not result in marriage. The creation of Eve out of the body of Adam underscores how solid the bond of marriage is. Therefore, getting married is a very important step in life. The Lord indicates this in Genesis 2 verse 24. 3 issues are named in this passage. We are going to consider the first, second, and third, and that will be all. I won't go through reading the entire article. For more, please read up yourself. The link to this article is in the description box. A. Leaving the home of the parents. This happens with the approval of the parents. Here is the basis for the official marriage solemnization, which may differ in various cultures and eras. In general, it has a public character, occurring among witnesses. A loose, uncommitted, unregistered relationship, that is common law relationship, should be rejected. Do you hear that? A loose, uncommitted, unregistered relationship, that is common law relationship, should be rejected. The husband shall be united to the wife, Genesis 2 verse 24. He enters into a close relationship with her because they love each other. Only within the marriage relationship is sexual intercourse sanctioned by God. Sexual intercourse outside of or before the marriage results in division. rather than in the unity which God decrees. C. In this manner, husband and wife become one flesh. They form a unique unity and oneness in body and soul. In Genesis 2, the woman is called a helper who befits the man. The word is not used in a belittling or discriminating fashion. As part of God's plan, Adam discovered that he was lonely while the animals had partners. He felt that he needed help and received in Eve the needed support to live according to God's will. In marriage, husband and wife are each other's alter ego or second self. Now, this is where I will draw the curtain for this. I don't know whether you could get the point after reading all of this. From the article, it is clear that the solemnization of marriage is a civic concept. Solemnization of marriage is just a term to mean that a marriage is being presented to God. And solemnization of marriage is now different from blessing of marriage, because for solemnization to be done, there should be no impediment. There should be no objection to that solemnization. And if you look at the word impediment, the church has made pregnancy as an impediment to solemnization, because one of the forms of marriage, solemnization of marriage, is the fact that the partners have not consummated anything at all. They have not had sexual intercourse. So if you have had sexual intercourse with a partner, the extent of getting pregnant, which is visible evidence. That's why I agree with people that are talking about visible evidence. That since there's a visible evidence that yes, you are no longer a virgin, you have been disvirgined by this man or maybe some other man, solemnization now cannot take place. Please, guys, understand. I personally see church as an institution of its own. And institutions are bound to have rules. The reason why church is not solemnizing marriages is not because you are pregnant. It's because solemnization entails sexual purity. So it now depends on you. And I know for a fact that Christianity or religion is between someone and his creator. So if you are lying, if the church which you have subjected yourself to has said, okay, solemnization is more like presenting this thing to God, that it is pure, it is holy. You people have not sexually committed anything against God. You have not done any form of penetration to each other. This is what the church makes solemnization to be, and that is how God sees it. So if on your own you decided that, no, I don't want God to know that I've had sex, let me abort it so that I'll be solemnized, it's your business. It has nothing to do with the church. It's between you and your God. The church has set the standard. It is for you to judge yourself. Ask yourself, if solemnization entails being sexually pure, and I'm not sexually pure, why not me doing blessings of marriage? Yes, just go and bless your marriage. It will not stop you from putting on your white garments. That is why I don't know the confusion in all of these things. Fam, please, solemnization is a term, and as a term, there are elements to every term. And the elements to solemnization is: one, your parents must have consented in you leaving them to go and be with that person. And two, you people must be sexually pure. At least that is the number two basis. That is why when a marriage is being solemnized, the priest will always ask the partner, who gave her this woman to this man? And the parents will indicate. So you see, it's just a term that has conditions or elements of. There are elements to solemnization. So if you do not meet the conditions or the elements of solemnization, there is no need raising false alarm that the church is being unfair to you. Once you are not sexually pure, that is why the church cannot solemnize. Almost when he said something, he said that the church cannot gauge the activities of people. Church cannot follow you up and down. Just use the church as a court. You bring a matter to a judge. The judge does not know what happened. The only thing that the judge knows is the evidences presented before him. He can only pass judgment based on the evidences before him. Now that comes to my point. I always say that I'm an advocate of traditional marriage before any kind of marriage. I even prefer to have a court marriage first before church marriage. I am not trying to demean the church or to downgrade the church. There are churches that if you do not do the white wedding, even after you must have paid the bride price, and even after you must have performed every traditional rite, you are still not allowed access to your wife, because to them you are not properly married. And this is where I have problem with Africans borrowing cultures. We borrow culture and we go overboard. This is because when Africans copy a certain culture, especially if that culture is from the white folks, we tend to dump our own, even though our own is even more valuable. Because if you look at it, traditional marriage is more valuable. It is you going down to your roots to do what you need to do. For me, that is the main marriage. Church marriage should be there to bless marriage. In Christianity, there are so many denominations. You can actually go for either of them. Catholic Church and Anglican Church will bless your union. Concerning the question whether it's okay for the church to conduct tests, well, it is not proper. I will say that because someone said, I think it's Asa of Lagos said, a pastor once did something that is despicable, irritating, and annoying, but come to the public to declare that, oh, this bride is a virgin. I know that testing the virginity of a woman does not sit well with me, or testing the pregnancy status of a woman before wedding does not sit well with me at all, at all. I don't like that. In fact, it should not be encouraged at all. But it is what it is. That institution has made it that this is what you require to do before you can do this. If you don't like that option, walk away. Listen, sometimes holding a position in a church or in an organization sometimes puts one in tight corner. But please be wise enough to choose the right path. Two wrongs cannot make a right. You have made the first mistake by getting pregnant before wedding, which you know is against your church doctrine. Don't make the second mistake by trying to abort that child. It's not fair on that child, an innocent child for that matter, because you want to obey a doctrine that you can actually skip or you can actually move away from. You decide not to, but rather to punish an innocent child by aborting an innocent child. Don't make that mistake. And I don't encourage anybody that will be thinking of doing something like that in future. One of the active communicators asked a very interesting question. He wrote, the question is, if the pastor's daughter wants to get married to a guy and it's discovered that she is already pregnant for the fiance, won't the marriage hold again? Your answer is as good as mine. We all know that in situations like that, and from my explanation that I have given, the best thing for both of them to do is to go for the blessing of the marriage instead of the solemnization of marriage. However, we are human beings, and I cannot speak for the pastor nor for the church. Coming to the last point of this whole thing, using the Zulu people. In that video, we could see that virginity test is not made compulsory. And from that video, you could also see that most of the ladies or the girls that went for the virginity test went there willingly. And if you go there willingly, knowing that you are not a virgin, and you are being told that you are not a virgin, why will you now feel bad about it? Or now say, oh no, they are not being fair to me. Why must they say I should do this? Why must they say I should do that? And I did not hear in any way where they say if you don't go for the test, then you can never get married. I was expecting to hear that failure to go for this test, there's no husband for you. But in all things, going for the test makes it possible for you to get husband easily. Going from the explanation they were given in the video, it's just an additional bonus for you to get married to a man. And they also said that the virginity test, they believe it will also help you to get a better husband. I am sorry, that explanation or the reason does not make sense. Honestly, virgin or no virgin is not a guarantee that you'll find a good husband. good husband comes from the character of the person you are getting married to. It is not, your virginity cannot convert someone that has an irritating and dirty character to be nice just all of a sudden. It's not magical. If you are getting married to a foolish man, you are getting married to a foolish man. Your virginity will not make that man wise. Guy, it will not make that man wise. I'm being honest with you. So that reason does not sit well with me. So I'm not going to take it. And the point I'm trying to make in all of these things is the fact that when you submit yourself to something willingly, obey the rules and regulations that comes with it. You are not supposed to go and do something to be not to please anybody. You can actually move away. Like in that video, the ladies were doing it to prove a point. I am still a virgin. If they don't want to prove the point, they can still not go for it and nobody will kill them. Although it is said that going for the test will bring honor to the family. But did they say that not going for the test will bring disgrace to the family? No. But rather going for the test and failing in the test is what will attract what disgrace to your family, because to them they value purity. In conclusion, when you submit yourself to something, please be obedient enough to follow the rules and regulations. If you don't want a thing, it's best to avoid it entirely. If you can't avoid it entirely and there's another option, why not go for that option? So, fam, either solemnization or blessing of marriage, it does not stop a marriage from being fruitful. It is God that said that we should go into the world and multiply. If you have done it the wrong way, He's a merciful Father. He will always forgive. He knows, but just be true to yourself. He's not judging us. It's not the desire of God to condemn us, to cast us out. That is not the desire of God. So please, we should not take this thing too personal and let it cause unnecessary havoc or chaos in Christianity. Please, for our priest, a woman getting pregnant after paying the bride price is not wrong. In fact, it's the proper thing to do. This man has already paid the price, according to the custom and tradition of where this woman comes from. After that, she is his. Release her to him. And there's no way you can release a woman to a man without telling them not to consummate the marriage. This is where I want to say, yes, this is my opinion against the church. If someone got pregnant after traditional marriage, I see no reason why you should ask the person to go for pregnancy test. Why? It is the husband that impregnated her. Life is not so hard that will make it difficult for ourselves. What if after that abortion, you are unable to get pregnant again? Will you ever be happy? Will you ever forgive yourself? If you do not meet a particular requirement, go for those requirements that you're able to meet. This is all I have for you today, fam. Thank you for your audience. And please don't forget to grace our channel with your auricular audience next time. If you ever find this video interesting, please comment, like, subscribe, and don't forget to click on the notification bell for the next video. Till I come your way next time, it is I, Amakobi, aka Twinkle Pecky. To stay safe and stay blessed. I love you all. Bye-bye.